Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Xbox Casuals, the Xbox podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derry, and alongside me, as always, is the man who is improved by monk fruit, Josh Finney.
Improved by monk fruit?
Yeah, dude. So here's the thing. I don't know if you know this or not, Josh, but I've recently picked up the addiction to Red Bull, and by recently, I mean like the last year and a half.
I say, I think you've been. Your blood type is Red Bull at this point,
and I ran out of the stuff that I order in bulk, so I stopped by the gas station, and they were out of the sugar-free Red Bull, but they had
did you get the Zero?
Red Bull Zero, but it's a new flavor with monk fruit extract, and let me tell you, Josh,
is it good?
It's the best thing I've ever put in my mouth. You can take that however you want, Josh, but it still stands. Delicious.
Okay.
It's delicious.
I might try one at the gas station tomorrow then. Wow.
It's delicious.
I'm still processing that it's the best thing you've ever put in your mouth, but
I mean, maybe not the best thing. Earl's sandwich still exists, but
I was going to say, we've had some pretty good sandwiches in our time.
Yeah. Well, the rate Disney is demolishing everything.
The Earl is probably next.
Yeah.
A moment of silence for Muppet Vision 3D.
I know, right? So we can get a Monsters Inc. suspended roller coaster.
So, like, hear me out. I'm okay with the Monsters Inc. coaster, okay? And I realize you probably didn't have many other places to put it other than, like, replacing Rock and Roller Coaster, which low-key is what they should have done.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, they said they're preserving Muppet Vision 3D for the future, and I want to know what that is. Like, if you're just going to dump it on Disney Plus, I'm going to be really upset. And let's be real, that's probably what's happening. Maybe transplant. My thing is, I feel like the dream scenario is you transplant whatever's happening in Muppets Courtyard over to, since they're going to do the Muppets overlay in the Aerosmith coaster, that show building right next to it is getting a villain show this summer, apparently. Once Villains Land opens in Magic Kingdom, move that shit over there, make that the new Muppet Vision Courtyard.
Or
rip out Disney Junior.
But my kids love the Disney Junior section, and Bluey is coming.
The Little Mermaid show, then
they're making a new one.
Fuck, where do you put this then?
Listen, you know that animation show that you have to sit through, like back by where you used to meet the Star Wars characters.
Oh,
like Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
And like one way was like the Star Wars characters, and the other way was like that like you could see the animation movie. And
the old animation courtyard. Yeah.
And they haven't updated it since Mulan because it's still Mushu that they're animating. Replace that with Muppet Vision. That theater's. That theater's small. That theater's small, but like Muppet Vision never has a long line anyway. It's not that.
No,
long.
It doesn't. The most important thing for Muppet Vision would be the effects have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have enough room for the effects. I mean, you could just build a bigger theater back there. Let's be honest.
Like, are you gonna? You know
what I would really love?
Come with my Disney Plus subscription.
Put it on Sunset Boulevard. Put it on Sunset Boulevard, going down towards the Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Knock out one of the gift shops over there or something,
or like the old animation buildings, behind that. It used to be a fry stand. I don't know what it is now, but you know what I mean? Like those animation buildings are still back there.
Yeah, this is an Xbox show, obviously, but we're both very passionate about the Muppets.
It's now Muppet Vision Casuals. This is what
the problem is. It's also like the final thing Jim Henson ever made, and it is an enduring classic.
Yeah,
I would love for them to find a place either in Hollywood Studios, or God forbid you go put it at like, I don't know why you would do this, put it in Epcot or Magic Kingdom. Low key, rip out the Hall of Presidents and put it in there.
I mean, dude, at the rate this country's going, they're gonna have.
Let's be honest.
Why not?
Let's be completely blunt.
Yeah. They're not going to open that. They're not even going to open the Hall of Presidents for like 3 or 4 years at this point.
Replace the yeah, they're just gonna keep it under maintenance. Replace the laugh floor at Magic Kingdom with it.
Yeah.
Put it in there.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Or the Stitch thing, right?
So the Stitch thing, I've talked to people.
Ralph,
right? I've talked to people about the Stitch thing, and this was interesting. I didn't know this because those buildings are so old, and that particular ride has been like closed down for so long and hasn't been renovated like ever. The way that it was built, there's like so much shit in the ceiling. They would just have to rip out that whole building and redo it essentially.
Well,
for whatever reason, the laugh floor hasn't gone through that, but that area has.
Yeah, I mean that Tomorrowland just. I feel
it's like not tomorrow anymore.
I feel like Tomorrowland just needs to go away, man. Like, no offense to Tomorrow, like keep the theme like
Tomorrowland
sci-fi-ish, but
they
like
should have fixed Tomorrowland before doing a Villain's Land. I'm just gonna say,
yeah,
because we have the worst Space Mountain. Easily. Like Tokyo Disneyland is building a new fucking Space Mountain behind the old one. And then they'll take out the old one. Like, really? Buzz Lightyear is clearly falling apart.
Yeah.
And nobody cares about Astro Orbiter. The only two things that I would argue need to stay in Tomorrowland, the cars are awful. You need to keep... That's where the Cars ride should have gone, honestly. The only two things you need to keep are the People Mover and Carousel Progress. That's all you keep.
Yep. And Tron, I guess.
Well, I mean, Tron kind of goes without saying. Yeah. Like, just because it's brand new. My dream is that they do a Muppets area in a theoretical fifth park.
Yeah.
Which I feel is coming at some point.
I feel like they're going to do I feel like they're waiting to see what Epic Universe is like and see if they can kind of
Epic Universe is going to be kick ass. Here, I'll solve it for them.
I feel like they're looking at that and they're going to be like, how can we kind of replicate this with our own IP at some point? You know, like I really feel like. I mean, I feel like Disney doesn't care about the Muppets. I'm going to be honest with you.
They don't. Like, realistically, we should be seeing Sabrina Carpenter sing Espresso with Miss Piggy on a Muppets Tonight Show. But, you know, that would be too good for this world.
It sure would.
Man.
It sure would, Josh.
Now I'm really sad because, like, they just, God. And everything they've done with the Muppets has been, like, fairly decent. It just, like, hasn't gotten the acclaim. And I think it's because they let it sit dormant for so long. Like, the 2007-8 movie, whenever the one with Jason Segel came out, was such a hit.
That movie was good too.
They did Most Wanted, and it was not good. It wasn't awful, but it also wasn't good. And I think a lot of that's because Segel didn't come back. Because we forget that he wrote and starred in that and wrote the songs. Like, so that was a huge win.
Did he ever say why he didn't come back?
He said he achieved everything he wanted to with the first one. That was his thing. He felt that he had achieved everything he ever wanted to. His dream was to write for the Muppets, and he got to do that. So, hey, fair. Totally fair.
True.
I find myself really bummed because it's like, oh, then they let it sit dormant, and then they tried reviving it with a TV show on ABC, like 5 years after that, like 3-4 years after that.
Right. I forgot about that.
It wasn't bad, but I mean, people weren't watching it. Like, TV tastes had changed so much by that point. If that had been on something like Netflix or Hulu right away, that would have been a hit.
Yeah.
You needed to have it on dual platforms, kind of like how John Oliver was kind of from the get-go with HBO. You needed it to be something like that. You needed it available in multiple places. And then they basically saw that as a sign, like, oh, we shouldn't do anything else. And the only other thing that they've done with it was Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I maintain they should do like 3 or 4 more of these with them interpreting classic rides. Give me Muppets Jungle Cruise. Give me Muppets Space Mountain.
Dude, Muppets Jungle Cruise would be amazing.
Dude, give me Muppets Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, we kind of have that with Muppet Treasure Island, but...
Yeah, but you could also say the same thing about Space Mountain with Muppets in Space.
I need everybody to be a Muppet except for Captain Barbossa in that show. I just need Jeffrey Rush to come back. That's all I need.
I don't know, why not?
Have Davy Jones walking around and it's like actually Davy Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few other things that you could have done, but it's like, man. And then the Electric Mayhem show they did wasn't bad. That's not half bad either.
Yeah.
It was good enough that they're doing a roller coaster on it. So, but I digress. We spent 10 minutes talking about the Muppets. I'm just getting sad. I'm getting really upset.
Yeah.
And this was actually kind of a banger week for Xbox news.
It was.
We last week we had that awesome developer direct, which was obviously the focal point of the whole week. We did a special episode on that last week. But to recap, we got the reveal of Ninja Gaiden 4, the surprise drop of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. We got footage from Doom the Dark Ages, from South of Midnight, and from Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Corey, is this shaping up to be maybe the most stacked year for Xbox ever? We talked about it a little bit last week, but I wanted to go more in depth this week because this release schedule is bonkers.
Yeah, I know. And like, that's not even including like games that don't have release dates, like or like rumored release dates, right? Like Towerborn, or Gears E-Day is supposedly coming out this
Yeah,
fall.
I wanted to get to that. Tom
Like-
Henderson, or not Tom Henderson, Tom God, there's so many fucking Toms. Tom Warren over at The Verge came out and said last week, right after the direct, that he has heard that E-Day is targeting 2025. Nate the
Mhm.
Hate came out and said that last week or a week or two ago, shortly after the Switch 2 reveal confirmation. Nate's pretty reliable. I'd say he's probably about 75-80% accurate most of the time.
Mhm.
But,
yeah, including announcing the release, like leaking the release date of the announcement of Switch 2 on the day of the Bossies. Thanks.
yeah. Thanks for taking that internet traffic away.
Thanks, Nintendo.
He has also heard. Nate said the same thing. Tom has also heard that the Oblivion announcement is coming soon, probably sometime between now and the anniversary of it releasing, which is March 20th. But that it is targeting a release as early as late spring. That could very well just be like a March drop, he says also. And then hints that this summer at the showcase, we could see the re-reveals of Contraband, Everwild, and see footage from Clockwork Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
So taking what we already know, so setting that aside, things that we know for this year, I'm getting my notes pulled up that I took. So January, I'm not technically counting Ninja Gaiden 2 Black as a first party release because Microsoft technically didn't publish this. They did publish the original though. It is worth remembering. February has Avowed, which review codes went out for that today. The embargo lifts on the 13th at 6 a.m., which is exactly 2 weeks from when you are listening to this episode.
Mm-hmm.
March right now is open, but very easily Towerborn could go into early access, or you could get the Oblivion. I don't think Oblivion is coming there. All signs kind of point to Oblivion being this summer. South of Midnight is at the beginning of April 8th. Expedition 33, while not an exclusive, is coming to Game Pass on the 24th of April. Doom the Dark Ages is May 15th. That, to me, that looks like maybe the one of two very early Game of the Year contenders from early footage. That looks Doom looks incredible.
Yeah, Doom looks great.
We gushed about it for like 15 minutes last week, but holy shit, Doom just looks fantastic. I read an interview with that Steven Totillo did on GameFile where he was saying that he had an interview with them, like he obviously knew it was coming, and did an interview with id, and they said, yeah, we didn't do multiplayer this time because they're like, yeah, the giant mech and the cyber dragon that you saw, we didn't want those to be one and done experiences, so we had the option to either do multiplayer or make those like multi-experience things, and we opted for the latter. Man, if those control well, they made the right decision. I think they made the right decision no matter what. I think everybody's realizing how hard it is to get a multiplayer game going.
Mm-hmm.
But June, the rumor is that Oblivion is coming in June. Would not surprise me if they announced it now. We saw real footage in June. Supposedly they're reworking stealth, archery, athletics, and a few other skills from things that we've heard. Would not surprise me if that was just like a, hey, it's available today thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really think the other thing that wouldn't shock me is if they save that for the reveal of Switch 2. So that leaves you July and August open. Outer Worlds 2 is coming at some point this year. Fable is coming. We know a new Call of Duty is coming. Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming. That's 4 more first-party games coming, as well as the rumored E-Day. I think there's still a chance that Double Fine's next game could slip out this year. That would absolutely not shock me at all. So, man, I would, even if E-Day doesn't come out this year, and just those 4 games are like what's in the back half of the year, this is far and away their best year ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ever. You would have to go back to early 360. We're talking like Halo 3 or like Gears 2 timeline for you to find a year that even competes with this, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this year is just,
it's stacked.
It's crazy. Like to be honest, I don't even want Gears to come out. Like as much as like I want to play Gears because I'm a Gears fan, like it's gonna get buried, you know. Like I don't know. I feel like I feel like
Gears will easily hold its own, especially with their new multi-platform strategy.
Right, but you have to look at this, right? Gears hasn't been out in a long time.
It's
Gears 5 was what, 2019?
Mm-hmm. And then we had Hive Busters a year and a half later.
Yeah. But like Gears 5 didn't sell well. Granted, I know Game Pass did,
it had really good engagement numbers though. So
yeah, but like I think you have to consider A, Call of Duty, B, the rest of Xbox's lineup, and then the dark horse. Well, not really a dark horse, but the ones that
the giant is
slumbering
GTA 6.
GTA 6, right? You have to consider that. I think, so
yeah,
that's my thought. And I think actually, what I think they should do is like release that collection this year, and maybe next year put Gears out in the spring and that remake of Halo out in the fall.
So I think that's ultimately what happens. I think
because then you can have a year-long celebration of the 25th anniversary of Xbox, the 20th anniversary of Gears, the 25th anniversary of Halo. You can do a whole year long thing.
Also worth noting, this year is the 20th anniversary as of May, I believe, is the 20th anniversary of Forza as a franchise.
Yeah, it's coming to PlayStation, right?
Yep.
In May.
May? We're gonna hit on Forza 5 here in a minute because we got a bunch of other PlayStation stuff. Talk what's coming, but even if Gears misses this year, like, dude, next year's packed. You conceivably have E-Day, the CE remake, which the CE remake is all but confirmed at this point.
Yeah,
a pretty decently known Halo leaker, Rebs Gaming, said that the Halo CE remake started pre-production in January 2024 and is now in full production. And they are claiming that Certain Affinity's multiplayer Halo game is still alive.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, I mean now that they've fully taken over the multiplayer, I believe that.
Yeah, I think it's totally. I mean, I think obviously,
I don't think it's a BR anymore, though.
Oh no, it's kind of been confirmed that it's been retooled, right?
Yeah, but I still think the ship has sailed on BRs.
Yeah, I still think it's gonna be like a huge suite of modes, though. I mean, I almost wonder if there will be a mini BR mode in there.
So I'd be fine with a mini BR mode. I think that's kind of what Warzone's was. It was BR before BR. It was PvPvE. And I really loved Warzones, but it was a pay-to-win mode, which I really hated.
Yeah.
Yeah, no rec packs or anything like that. Funny enough, Halo is the one existing franchise that I think an extraction shooter would actually be awesome.
Yeah.
Also, just learn from the mistakes of the past. Please give us Forge right away in whatever the next Halo is. I have gone pretty hard into this camp that we're going to get the CE remake reveal this year and get the tease for what's next from Halo Studios.
Yeah, I think
you get a teaser trailer and you get the full reveal next year.
Yeah,
when they push whatever the new hardware is, whether that's next, I think it's next year. Microsoft clearly does not give a shit about console generations anymore. We got a Phil Spencer interview that like doesn't necessarily confirm that, but that confirms they're changing their approach to hardware.
Yeah.
But
Which
next
makes
year
sense for them. I mean,
you
what are you gonna
conceivably
say when
like
when your console doesn't sell? I mean,
you have for 26, you have E-Day, you have the CE remake, you have most likely State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, you have the next Infinity Ward Call of Duty. That's 5 mega games right there.
uh-huh.
I would bet serious money if there is a console next fall, Forza Horizon 6 is launching with that console. They will not release another Forza Horizon until they have new hardware. I will guarantee that right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's finally going to be Tokyo when it happens. There's been too
God,
many
how cool would
rumors.
that be?
It's the most wanted destination by far.
I
It's
mean,
one of
what if
the
it's just Japan? Like, what if you can go through the countryside and then
I'd be fine with that. That would be like kind of combining the best of Horizon 3 with like an urban environment. You could get that classic Horizon feel, but you could also like Need for Speed it up in a lot of ways. No
Mhm.
cop chases, but Need for Speed doesn't really exist anymore, so
Right.
you'd have a great street racer. You honestly, it could be like an homage to Project Gotham if you do it that way.
Oh my gosh, how cool would
I
that
miss
be?
Project Gotham so much.
That'd be cool.
I would love for them to do I would love for Forza Horizon to take time off. Not that it hasn't already, but to bring back Project Gotham at some point.
Yeah.
Even if it was just Turn 10 that was making it, I would really love another Project Gotham.
Mhm.
What else could they conceivably have? Now, Clockwork Revolution, we just mentioned that game. That's next year. Double fine if their game doesn't come out. Next year's already kind of Contraband. That next
Yeah.
year's already packed.
Yeah. Plus, People Can Fly is working on that Project Maverick game, right? Like,
So we're gonna go into that right now. Let's get into that because that actually got confirmed this week. Speaking about Gears of War, Gears E-Day is getting support from People Can Fly, and it was confirmed by a Polish newspaper that this is Project Maverick. That was confirmed. This is Project Maverick. We thought it was Gears all along. You and I both thought it was Gears. This is kind of the last chance for this studio to get saved, unfortunately.
yeah. Well, aren't they supporting Gears? That's for a little like, aren't they supporting Gears too? Like the new one, People Can Fly.
That's what I just said. They are doing E-Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Project Maverick is them supporting E-Day.
Oh, you think that?
No, a Polish newspaper straight up confirmed it.
Oh, I thought those were two separate things.
Nope.
That seems dangerous.
Yeah. God, there were a lot of sources that were flying around. I was trying to track it down on Reddit, but People Can Fly supposedly has 5 other projects in the works. One is Square Enix
5.
publishing related for 2026. One is with Krafton, and 3 are supposedly self-published, with one of those being a VR game. I do wonder, like, even though this Polish newspaper confirms that Project Maverick is supposedly them working on Gears 5 or Gears E-Day, I do wonder if they're doing the Gears collection.
Yeah, they got it.
That would be my guess, is that they're doing the collection.
Mm-hmm. I would say the original trilogy plus Judgment in one collection.
I think you have to. You don't need 4 and 5 don't need an update.
Well, I mean,
4 and 5 will get their own collection when they come to PS5.
That's fair. Yeah,
because they're both on PC already.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe Gears 4 is on PC. Don't quote me on that. Gears 5 is.
Gears 4 is also on PC.
They're on the Windows Store at least. I don't think they've come to Steam.
Yeah.
So,
especially because like, I think you're going to want to get that original trilogy out on other platforms and draw hype up for this new one, right?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about going to other platforms. Today it comes out, maybe the biggest news of the week on any game platform. Forza Horizon 5 coming to PS5 this spring. They said this spring, and you want to know why? I'm pretty sure it's because they're going to announce the release date at the Nintendo event.
Oh, you do? You think?
Oh, I 100% believe this is coming to Switch 2.
You think it's a launch game for Switch 2?
I think Microsoft. You guys had this debate on Pal Block, and I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet, but I want to get into it here. I think that Microsoft is going to be one of the biggest first-year publishers for Switch 2.
I'm writing a thing for the website about that.
Because think about it right now. They did not put Sea of Thieves or Hi-Fi Rush on the original Switch. The original Switch simply could not handle Sea of Thieves for whatever reason. It probably couldn't handle Hi-Fi Rush either, let's be honest.
I mean, the online stuff is what prohibited Sea of Thieves
Got you.
because Grounded, they released Grounded first, right? Because
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves was rumored to come to Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and then Grounded came out, and like that online functionality in Grounded,
It's a catastrophe.
It was awful, just like the rest of the Switch's online stuff.
So I imagine those two are shortlisted for Switch 2.
Mm-hmm. I bet Hi-Fi
I
Rush
would
is a
put
launch
money
title.
that Forza Horizon 5 is showing up. From all accounts, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is running okay on Steam Deck. So if it's running fine on Steam Deck, I don't think it'll be a launch game, but I think Great Circle comes by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
there was a rumor going around from Xtos1 on Twitter saying Doom the Dark Ages is coming to Switch 2. The reason why Xbox hasn't revealed it is because Nintendo's not letting third-party devs announce information until Nintendo says so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Doom the Dark Ages, dear God, I hope it's better than the other Doom games were on Switch 1.
Oh, come on. Doom on Switch wasn't that bad. As someone who reviewed
10
it.
frames a second later.
Hey, it was in the teens.
I do think that this gives credibility to the rumor that we had about a month ago about Master Chief Collection coming to PS5 and Switch 2, though.
Mm-hmm.
I fully expect... I think Microsoft is just getting like a 5-minute segment during the Switch 2's game announcements. Or also, like Phil Spencer has said, like he came out publicly and said it with an interview with Danny Pena last week, right after the Direct, that he, as soon as the Switch 2 announcement happened, he was messaging with the CEO of Nintendo, basically being like, "Hey, congrats on it. We can't wait to support it with software." It's happening, man.
Especially like
if you're gonna still have a problem with this, get the fuck on board.
Here's my theory: is that I don't think Halo is going to be announced at the Switch reveal event. I think it's going to be revealed at the Microsoft or the Xbox showcase this summer when they reveal the remake of Master Chief Collection, and the reveal of the remake of Combat Evolved.
Yeah,
and then they're going to say, and we're going to put the Master Chief Collection on other platforms, and it's going to be cross-play and cross progression and all that stuff.
I do think that they're going to keep playing. It's funny that they are very clearly willing to play ball with Nintendo, but like don't want to do it with PlayStation.
I know. Well, it's the other way around too, right? I mean, PlayStation has dabbled on the Switch side as well. I mean, with Lego Horizon, and didn't give it to Xbox, right? So
yeah, I feel like they did that because they knew the audience for Switch, and like I think they see it as we don't need to support Xbox right now. But if Xbox does go to a handheld, which we're going to talk about handhelds here in a minute, then I think they're going to be forced to. But Jez Corden also apparently came out and said earlier today, Master Chief Collection is 100% going to PS5. There were some people speculating about this earlier that Starfield failing to do numbers and failing to improve the console sales is probably what ultimately resulted in this radical shift. And I would agree with that. And I think seeing the wild success Sea of Thieves had on PS5 also made them go, yeah, we got to do more of these. We got to do more.
Yeah,
it's crazy how they also were like the number one publisher last year because of Sea of Thieves going to PS5 and because of Black Ops 6. That alone made them like the most profitable publisher of the year. So
what didn't they say like 64% of like their revenue came from, or there was a number that was being thrown around about their sales numbers, or like 64% of other multi-platform sales were from Microsoft owned studios.
Yeah, nearly $500 million was spent on Xbox games across Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox in December. Black Ops 6 attracted 38 million users in November 2024.
That was it. Yeah, those two numbers were
that's absolutely insane. I was looking to see what else, if there was anything else in here. I don't have the one. I don't have the story pulled up, but yeah, there was a pretty crazy amount of players that came from PlayStation. Like Phil was saying that like over half of their revenue came for Call of Duty came from PlayStation users.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was something like 65 to 70%.
Yeah. And speaking of this multi-platform strategy and getting excited for the newest game by putting out the older games on other platforms, Ed and I were talking about this on Pow Block. You know what game I think would seriously do really well on the Switch would be a Fable collection.
Yeah, so there was a rumor about a Fable collection a couple of months back, and again, these are to bring the 360 games over is a no-brainer.
That
Requires
like
bare minimum work.
Yeah, and I think you want to get these games off of the 360 platform and bring them forward, especially if like someday Microsoft gets out of hardware or considers transitioning the
If
Xbox
only
into like a
games
PC
onto the
type.
Steam store.
Yeah. Or like transitioning the Xbox platform into like a set-top box PC type, like a user-friendly PC that's under your TV.
Which Phil has like kind of hinted is the future. Like they want to keep making hardware. Box is literally in our name, but you can tell that he's fighting a losing battle on that front with Satya.
Oh yeah.
I that's why I'm firmly in the camp of they are going to make the handheld is for real.
Mm-hmm.
He gave as much of a hint to I don't know if it was Destin or not, but what was the other thing I was gonna bring up before we really got into it? Oh, yeah, Destin did an interview with Phil last week as well, and shout out Destin. Did not realize that he had left IGN a couple weeks ago. Struck out on his own. Lands an interview with Phil Spencer almost right away. Good on you, man.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but IGN is buying out a lot of the old
I did
guard.
hear, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So he probably used some of that money to launch his own thing, right?
Like, I imagine that that's also part of why, because they've absorbed so many game sites at this point. Ziff Davis has, at least.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means, but like Kat Bailey's not there anymore. I know Stella got let go over. That was a really weird one. What happened with her? And Chris Dierich is no longer at Games Industry. That's a huge loss. Chris not being at Games Industry is a massive loss.
Yeah, well, I mean these major websites, like, IGN's probably always going to exist in some capacity, but like the age of like the website is over, right? I mean, like you're going to go to these like YouTubers and podcasters with micro communities and pay attention to the people that you want.
I think VGC is one of the last like good outlets out there that hasn't been swallowed up because they're funded totally through Patreon.
Yeah.
I think Andy Robinson does really good work over there. Chris does a lot with them, obviously. Jordan Midler's over there. I really like what VGC does. But Destin asked Phil Spencer, and I got the entire transcript here. Indiana Jones has an exclusivity window. To be fair, can you solidify that Starfield is staying put for the time being? That was from Destin. Phil Spencer's response: no. Like, there is no specific game that I would. It kind of goes back to my red line answer. There is no reason for me to put a ring fence around my game and say this game will not go to a place that it would find players where it would have business success for us. What we find is where we're able to drive a better business that allows us to invest in a great game lineup like you saw, and that's the strategy. Our strategy is to allow games to be available. Game Pass is an important component to playing the games on our platform, but to keep games off of other platforms, we don't think is the path we're going to take. That's not a path for us. It does not work for us. I will say this right, as someone who has been almost exclusively an Xbox guy for 20 years this fall, this makes me excited because let me tell you something. If putting games on other platforms allows Game Pass to continue to exist and for me to play my games that way, fantastic. Everybody wins. What has Phil's message always been? When we all play, we win.
Yeah, and I think I think the Xbox is going to be the platform for Game Pass, obviously. And it's like, well, if you have another platform, you can pay $70 or $80 or whatever the new price is going to be on next gen. But, if you subscribe to Game Pass and you have an Xbox, you get it, right? Like, I still think that's going to be their philosophy moving forward.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with this. Like, let me be realistic. The AAA games are so fucking expensive. You have to
Yeah.
maximize your profit. Like, everybody freaked out a couple of years back when they first started putting they put games on Windows, and I remember people getting upset. And then they put them on Steam, and that's when people really lost their shit. Xbox was kind of ahead of the curve in that regard, putting their games on Steam. Like,
I mean, they
and
have been.
also, like, low key, I'm gonna be real. If we get a period of exclusivity where these games are on Xbox first, like maybe for 6 to 12 months, I'm okay with that, because that means PS5 players can get them eventually. But hey, if you're super impatient, play them on Steam or get yourself a Series S. It's there. It's an option. I actually really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that's not what the hardcore Xbox community wants to hear, and I sympathize with that. But guys, the writing was on the wall. Like, Starfield and Redfall being failures should have confirmed this for you. Also, you wants to, like, let's recap the first 4 years of Series X. You launch a console in a pandemic with one game, Gears Tactics. Oh boy, nothing makes me want to run out and buy a next generation console like Gears Tactics. The lineup that year wasn't horrible, but you didn't have an anchor game. You had
Well, I mean,
Ori.
it was supposed to be Halo, right? I mean,
It was supposed to be Halo Infinite, which you delayed 3 months before coming out. I can't believe you ever thought that game was ready to release. Thank God you didn't. But you had Ori and the Will of Wisps earlier that year, and you had a whole bunch of smaller games, which those games weren't bad, but those are games that those are like those are the appetizers, or like the drinks between courses, right? And it was supposed to culminate in Halo Infinite, and it didn't, obviously. 2021, you have nothing. You have nothing until we get to summer. You want to know what your first exclusive is? It's fucking Flight Sim.
mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Like, Flight Sim, great game, don't get me wrong, but oh boy. That and Psychonauts not moving consoles. Also, Psychonauts available on PlayStation. Psychonauts 2 is another one I think is coming to Switch 2 right away.
I think there's going to be a bundle. I think it's.
I think it's a bundle too. Yeah, I think it has to be.
I think there's going to be an HD remaster of the first one.
I would love that. I love the original Psychonauts. I also Costume Quest 3 when, but I digress. You have that. You put out another game that is not on Xbox, which is Age of Empires 4, which again gets you great reviews. And then you have Horizon 5 and you have Halo Infinite, which everybody decides Halo Infinite about 6 months after launch is shit because it doesn't have maps. And that is a completely fair assessment. Despite how good the campaign is, despite how good the multiplayer still feels to this day, it did not have the content. And so they lost that. They got out of the gate with this massive influx of players. And then classic Microsoft, classic 343 did not support it at all. You had momentum behind HCS coming out of that. Like, that first like 6 month stretch of Halo Infinite is the most excited I've seen the Halo community since the lead up to 4.
Uh-huh.
And then poof, it all went away. It all went away. You didn't have Forge. Forge didn't come out for over a year after launch. You didn't have Firefight. You didn't have any of these modes that people really wanted. You had no maps. You launched with 3 big team maps, for God's sake. I'm the biggest Halo defender you're going to find, and even I'm like, that was some bullshit. 2022, kind of the same thing. You had 3 really small games. You had As Dusk Falls, you had Pentiment, and you had Grounded's full release. Again, all 3 great games. Grounded and Pentiment both easily made my top 10 that year. Pentiment was arguably my game of the year. But those aren't going to move consoles for you. 2023, kind of your last shot. Redfall flops. Redfall was a disaster. The only reason we're not harping on Redfall more at this point in the game is because Concord came out a year later and said, "Hold my beer." That is the only reason. That's the only reason. Starfield, it was a fine game. That's the nicest thing I could. It was fine. It was an 8. It was an 8. At best, it was an 8, and there's nothing wrong with an 8. There's a problem when that 8 is your only AAA game you've released that has any sort of traction since year 1 of your console. And then we all know last year, good year. They started off a little rough, but again, like, once you hit like September with Age of Mythology, you kind of took off. And you're carrying that momentum into this year, but it's 3 years too late. This is how the first year of a console should have gone.
Yeah.
So I just, like, you have nobody to blame but yourself at this point. If losing a generation is a thing, you did pick the worst generation in the history of video games to lose, which nobody thought digital acquisition was going to take off that fast. But yeah, so now they're having to pivot. I think they arguably have the best ecosystem of hardware, of UI, of controllers. They do low key have a great portfolio, but the games are unpolished when they come out. And just people aren't willing to engage with a console games are barely being sold in stores for it anymore. Microsoft clearly wants to go digital, and they've wanted to go digital since 2013.
Yeah.
And look how look where it's gotten them. I love Phil, but look where this strategy has gotten them. And I can't help but feel that part of that is he's being stymied at every turn. We've said repeatedly the Activision deal likely was not his decision. It really reads that way to me now. With them getting more into publishing, Satya's wanted to get rid of hardware since like 2016. So I don't know. Yeah. I do think that Xbox continues to exist in some form as a device, but it's going to be sold as a portable Windows device, just with the Xbox name slapped on it.
Yep.
And that's fine. That's totally fine.
Right.
I just want Game Pass. Selfishly, I just kind of want Game Pass to endure at this point. I have no problem with paying for these games, but that is so many games you're about to release that are about to be so good. Basic human services and needs are getting more and more expensive every year.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, the dam is going to break.
Right.
And it's right as we're getting into a decent lineup.
Right. Speaking of decent lineup, I don't know if you saw this or not, Josh, but there's a Halo live stream tomorrow, community live stream at 4 p.m. Eastern.
It is for the new season, I believe.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Never mind then. All right. Never mind then.
Yeah, I do believe that that's what it is.
It says tune in for explosive new surprises.
It's going to be it. If it's anything other than their new season, which they've been teasing for the last week, or HCS news, then I will be absolutely floored. I cannot fathom you announcing something major for Halo just in a Friday afternoon live stream.
Right.
I would be shocked. That I think has to be. I don't even know if you end with Halo anymore at an Xbox show. I don't even know if you open with it anymore. I think you can comfortably put Halo in the middle. Not that it's not important, but just because you've mishandled the IP so badly for 10 years.
I think you could open with a Halo Combat Evolved remake. I think you could open with that.
You could, but then that probably leads you into, Chief Collection is coming to Switch and PS5, and here's Halo 6, or here's Halo 7, or whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah, well, what you could say...
personally, I don't want to open on, 8 minutes of Halo.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, you could also close on it, and then read more information on Xbox Wire, and that's where you can dump the news that the Master Chief Collection is coming to other platforms, right? Like, maybe there's one, final update for the Master Chief Collection on Xbox.
They tie Halo 5 into it, finally.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It actually can't work. Feasibly, it cannot work.
I know.
Which is hilarious to me that if they bring Master Chief Collection to other platforms, they're going to have to bring Halo 5 on its own. They'll probably just do a bundle of them, but that's really funny to me.
Man, that Halo, I think they just want
everybody just wants to move on from Halo 5.
I think everybody just wants to forget it exists, honestly.
But you could do an entire blowout presentation with Halo Waypoint or whatever it's called these days. Halo Studios could do a whole thing. I would actually love for them to come out at the first major of the year and announce, hey, Halo Infinite multiplayer is coming to PS5. Straight up. That is the one thing that might get people playing this game again. Now with all the content added too, and I can't wait for the revisionist history of, oh boy, there goes Corey. No, you're back.
You're back.
Oh, it showed that you disconnected on my end.
Oh, it showed that you disconnected on my end.
That's wild. That's the second time in the past week that's happened to us.
I know. Ugh.
Anyways, continue on from where I was. Yeah, I think that putting it on PS5 might be the thing that injects some new life into the game. And honestly, like with both that and Gears, that's going to get people who aren't Xbox fanatics excited again.
Mm-hmm.
Putting it on Steam was a good first start. The reality is, I just think that Halo Infinite, it's too far gone. It's too far gone. But if you're going to put the Master Chief Collection over there, you might as well bring the other two over as well. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You know, just go ahead and do it. Do the Fable Collection. You know, bring Forza Horizon 5 over, whatever. But I think that Sony internally is screaming, going, God damn it, now Forza's coming to PlayStation. They don't really have a game that does what Horizon does. And I mean, it's up to anybody's interpretation which they think is better at this point, GT or regular Forza. I think they both have pretty significant issues.
Yeah.
But I saw people going like, oh, maybe we'll get them PS5 Pro enhanced. I will say right now, I'd be floored if you got PS5 Pro improvements on first-party games. I'd be floored. Considering they're not even doing them for their own console, I'd be shocked.
Yeah,
I think if you want PS5 Pro improvements, you're going to have to wait until like the next home console is out, and then they'll do like 20 updates at once.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my only guess.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine the optics of that? Like, oh yeah, we're going to get the best place to play our games is on PlayStation. Could you fucking imagine? That would be the one thing that would make me so upset about this. Is, oh yeah, our games are, you know, better frame rates, better visuals because of PS5 Pro. I would be so mad. Like a PC I can accept. I cannot accept it on PlayStation just yet. And I know it's coming. But that would be massively frustrating to see, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other big anvil that they have to drop this year is, when do the floodgates open with the Activision games? Because they've now been sitting on them for close to a year and a half. And we were told they were going to be a slow trickle. We do know that the Crash Bandicoot trilogy is coming to Game Pass, or has already come, I guess. When do the floodgates open and the Call of Duty games start coming?
Right.
Or is that like their break glass in case of emergency move? Put out Black Ops 2 like 3 or 4 months before the next major game, just so like people flock to play that. Tout your console as the only console you can play every single Call of Duty ever made on.
Right.
Which, like, it's true, because even Call of Duty 1 released on Xbox, and I believe is backwards compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So, play every single game ever made, question mark?
Oh,
that would do something for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Even if it's when you have a handheld and you start putting them all on there, be like, hey, we've relisted the original Call of Duty on Steam. Everything else is available through us, so that there's you know, less hackers and stuff of that nature, and go crazy.
Yep.
So, we did have something on the hardware front during all of this.
Hardware front.
Yeah, on the hardware front, I wanted to talk about it, that Phil Spencer said. Where was it? Did I lose it already? I think I may have lost it.
How dare you?
On why gamers should buy an Xbox still. I want people to pick hardware based on the capabilities of that hardware and the choices that they want to make about where they want to play. We want our hardware to win based on the capabilities that we have. Hardware is critical and fundamental to what Xbox is, and we are not trying to keep games off different platforms. Kind of just in line with what Phil has always been saying. He did have a quote that I cannot find anywhere that I read earlier in the week about how they feel like they kind of have a leg up on the competition already, because they have enforced the parity clause for Series S, and that they have no plans to drop it, because that lets them better prepare for the future. To me, that confirms that is the internal, maybe a slightly upgraded version of the Series S is the internals for that handheld.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the biggest confirmation to me that that's what Switch 2 is targeting also.
Yeah.
So I think we've hit this barricade in terms of what you can do with visuals and with fidelity, and now it's all about performance and portability. It's about being able to play your games wherever you want to. Like they were talking in the earnings call about how hardware revenue was down, but services were up a few percentage points.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it December or January? I think it was December. Was their biggest month ever on record for cloud. Like 40 billion hours were played on the cloud, supposedly.
Yeah.
So,
well, here's the thing: my nephews are obsessed with Xbox Cloud gaming. They love it. They play. They do. They
Minecraft?
both have no anything. They both have Series S's, and like their hard drives are small, obviously, and like they have like my one nephew has Fortnite and like Roblox, I think, on the hard drive, but he plays everything through the cloud. Like they played through the Halo campaigns in the cloud.
Interesting.
And like they're obsessed. The two things they're obsessed with are the things that we make fun of all the time, which are cloud gaming and VR. They're obsessed with both. So my nephew bought a used iPhone so he could play Xbox games through the cloud.
That's what. That's a wild statement for me to hear.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't believe it.
Jesus Christ.
I couldn't believe it.
Believe it. I can't believe it's not butter.
It's something. It is something.
One other last thing I wanted to note before we move on to some non-first party news. Well, I guess we have a little bit more first party news. Did you see that the Team Ninja said last week that it was that Phil was responsible for getting Ninja Gaiden 4 made, and it was his idea to have them collaborate with Platinum?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was really cool. They said talks first started like 6 years ago.
Yeah,
on Ninja Gaiden 4, and that I fully believe, because Phil's been saying for how many years he wants Japanese games to Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if that's what you got to do, right? I mean, this feels like the when they were going around looking for like Eternal Sonata and Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. This feels like that era almost again, but like obviously Ninja Gaiden's not a JRPG, but still, it's like they went around and they're going to publish the games and they're going to bring them over, and if you want to play it, well. Obviously, Ninja Gaiden's going multi-platform, but like it's if they're publishing it, it's going to be on Game Pass. So if you want to play it,
that's why I keep arguing to people. I'm like, man, if you're interested in these games, like I think it's worth it if you have the money to invest in an Xbox, or at least invest in Game Pass if you're on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the only downside is when you do it on PC, you have to play them through the Microsoft app, which is awful. The Xbox app is awful on PC.
Mm-hmm.
It is still damn near unusable.
Yeah, it's awful. The Xbox app.
They said in their earnings call they've seen the most growth in PC subs, that like 20% they had a 20% increase quarter over quarter on PC subs. They're seeing 20% more on PC than they are on console at this point. And I think it's because if you have an Xbox at this point, you have Game Pass.
Hopefully, you just do. Yeah.
I don't know why you would have a console and not have it at this point, but that's where we are. And I mean, realistically, think about the Series S. Like, how many games have we not had because of the Series S?
2.
Like 2, and one of those, they're actually rectifying the problem. It just took forever for them to figure out how to do it. The final update of Baldur's Gate 3 ever is the split screen update for Series S.
Mm-hmm.
It remains to be seen how that's going to work, but it's in preview testing. If you're an Xbox Insider, you can go test it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. My girlfriend really wants to play Baldur's Gate, so we're excited for it. And Black Myth Wukong is the only other one, and Wukong doesn't even run effectively on PS5. So I feel pretty okay with it. Like, especially if you go and make a handheld and you have Xbox, Steam, Epic, Itch, and GOG, you're set.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of set for whatever you want to do. I would argue the only thing that you're really missing at that point is when PlayStation inevitably makes a service of their own, which is coming. Like, PlayStation's going to make a handheld next generation.
Oh yeah, I mean they've kind of already confirmed it.
Oh, they've outright confirmed it. It's funny because like I do feel like they are a couple years behind the curve on that one. Like, yes, they have experience making handhelds, but that was forever ago. Like, this can't be another Vita. or
Yeah.
PSP. Like this has to have like low end PS5 power essentially when you release it.
Yeah.
I think that's also acknowledging that you're kind of hitting a brick wall with what you can do also,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And that's long been Sony's thing. Like I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. I says, I don't even think that's that like Sony is like kicking Microsoft's ass so much this generation. It's just that Xbox has stepped on their own dick for like the last 8 years. And then on top of that, like realistically, Sony's had like a game a year since PS5 came out. They've largely coasted since Ragnarok came out. Let's be honest.
And that was that was a PS4 game though too, right? I mean that like
It was, but like
their
this
two
is
biggest
why
games this generation have been PS4 games though.
this is why I hated that argument in a lot of ways though, because like if we are going to get rid of like barriers to play, right, and like traditional generations going away, I think we have to view it here like yes, it was a PS4 game, but clearly the best place to play that was PS5. Like it was unplayable on PS4. I don't care what anybody says. That game was unplayable. It sounded like a jet engine when you tried to play Forbidden West on it. Like good luck, even on a PS4 Pro. So like, okay, like I do get that argument. I did find it really funny that Returnal was PS5 only and Ragnarok and Forbidden West weren't, but I digress. You had Spider-Man 3 in 2023, and then last year, I don't think they thought Helldivers 2 was going to be the hit it was. What was it, like third best-selling game of the entire year?
Yeah, it was top 5 at least, I think.
I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams thought it would be that good.
No.
That well received. So
honestly,
they get a huge boost there.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I don't think anybody thought it was going to be like the hit it was because you look at the last one, like Helldivers 1.
The last one is a classic.
Like it has its community and people love it, but like the people that love it are the people that are playing it. It wasn't like, oh, let me try it out.
Oh, who was it that we used to know who played a lot of it?
I mean, Matthew Keel, our friend Matthew Keel played a lot of it. He still kind of plays it sometimes on Steam Deck.
I'm trying to remember what the show was called, but it was someone that was podcasting a lot when we first started out, like all those years back. Lee and his wife Rebecca used to play it a lot.
Oh, Nerd Overdrive.
Yeah, Nerd Overdrive. They used to play it a lot. They were the champions of it for years to me. They were really big fans.
Yeah.
I remember they were like, man, Helldivers is so good. Like Greg Miller used to talk about Helldivers. And then like if Helldivers isn't the hit it is, like even if it's good and it's not the hit that it was last year, what they had Astrobot.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like I think they're plenty happy with putting out a Game of the Year candidate every single year, but that was still like they would have gone 1 for 3 at that point,
right? But I mean, even Astrobot like didn't make them a ton of money. I mean, yeah, the budget was 60 million, but like it sold 3 million at $60. So what that gives you $180 million. That covers your budget and your marketing money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like. It still didn't make them a ton of money.
No, like, and yet I think Astrobot was kind of the perfect game for them at that point.
Oh,
they needed a game that reminded people, like, hey, we make things other than third-person action adventure. So, like, I mean, I think this year is going to be a lot better for them. I think the competition is definitely back. You've got Death Stranding 2 is coming. That's going to be a huge hit. It's a weird game, but it's going to be a big hit. I did not realize until we were talking a few episodes ago how much Death Stranding 1 sold.
Yeah.
That game's going to be big.
Yeah.
You know, people will turn out. It's going to be this huge cinematic experience. Even if they're just picking it up to see like what weird thing Kojima cooked up this time, that'll be a hit. Ghost of Yotei is absolutely my most anticipated game of the year right now.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are excited.
Ghost of Tsushima is straight up probably the best PlayStation game of the last 10 years to me. The only one that rivals it for me is God of War. The 2018 God of War. That's the only one that comes close for me. And Ghost of Tsushima, I think like I love it so much because I have such a deep love of Assassin's Creed, and it was the game I'd always wanted. Like I love Odyssey, and this surpassed Odyssey for me.
Yeah.
So, like you have those two games. What else do you have? Like maybe Marathon comes out this year, which good luck. Maybe Fair Games comes out. Good luck.
Will Fair Games come out?
Will fair games come out? Tune
mean,
into the Sony showcase in May 2025.
was it you and
Wolf,
I who were talking about Jade Raymond's like
yeah,
terrible luck a couple weeks
yeah,
ago?
we were doing it on this show.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was you or Laurent I was talking about.
No, it was on this show a couple of episodes ago. We were expressing our concern about it.
Yeah, man.
And I still I have concerns about that. I think really if you get out of this year, they've got some good stuff in the pipeline, but Sony
Wolverine?
also I think is real. Yeah, Wolverine is still on the horizon. Hopefully I think we're seeing footage this year from that.
Do you think we
But who
see
knows?
Wolverine or that rumored Venom spinoff first?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Insomniac has cooking for us because they did cancel the DLC, the supposed story DLC for Spider-Man 2, according to the internal hack that happened. But with Ted Price stepping down, I'm not sure what's going to change at Insomniac in the short term.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty there. Nintendo probably has like 3 bangers locked and loaded. Let's be honest. We talked about
3?
that a little bit last week too.
I think they have more than that. I mean,
They probably do. Let's be honest.
I think they have 3 brand new titles. I think they have a bunch of remasters and remakes also coming.
Post Super Mario Brothers Wonder, it's been a little rough. But I think they earned that given how good they did this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like Post Wonder was fall 23, right? I'm not getting my years wrong. That came out after Tears of the Kingdom.
Wonder and Super Mario RPG both came out in November. So yeah.
Okay. So post that, I would argue Echoes of Wisdom was like the one must-play game.
Yeah, I would throw Mario and Luigi in there also. I don't know if it's a must-play, but it's the other.
I saw so many people divided on that. I guess I'm trying to say like also in terms of
I know
like,
what you're saying.
A story that we've never seen before.
No, I know what you're saying.
So
also like,
but Nintendo does this, right? Nintendo puts out several bangers in a year, and then they have a bit of a down year. It's the Nintendo
also,
cycle.
But also like, from what I heard at PAX last year, Switch 2 was supposed to be out last year.
Yeah, it was.
And because a couple of developers that I still talk to today were going to demo their games on Switch 2 at PAX. And Nintendo never put it out. And they were like, oh, we had to like...
That fucked with so many smaller studios' financials.
Yeah. I mean, bigger too. I mean, look at Ubisoft. Ubisoft kind of came out and said they were relying a lot on Switch 2.
I honestly wonder if Switch 2 would have made if it had been able to be a launch game for Switch 2, would that have moved the needle on Lost Crown or not? I know it came to Switch 1, but would that have moved the needle?
Maybe a little bit, but not enough.
Financials came out on that game this week, and I was so sad to see that only sold like 1.3.
I mean, that's still a lot though for that type of game.
I guess. Like we were talking, you and I talked last week about how like we love Metroid. Metroid is like, if you live and breathe video games, Metroid is like one of the greatest franchises ever to you. But the general public just does not give a shit about Metroidvanias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they just don't. Like we were talking about how Dread is the best selling one, including the 3D ones, and it's only sold like 4 million copies total.
Yeah, it's out.
Dread is arguably a top 3 Metroid.
I mean, Dread has outsold every other 2D Metroid combined. And I think and
that's with how many re-releases also.
Right. And it definitely outsold each of the Prime games. So
I guess when you look at the competition coming this year, like Xbox having such a strong lineup of original titles and not relying on remakes and remasters. Yes, I know they have Oblivion coming. That's a big deal. That is also a game that is 20 years old. 19, excuse me. It's 19 years old this year. I think that's okay. Like, this isn't, The Last of Us Part 2 came out 2 years ago. Let's re-release it. With basically nothing added.
Yeah.
You know, it's not one of those scenarios. This is an actual game that is being remade in Unreal. It's getting updates to the gameplay, to some of the skill systems. That is a little bit different than re-releasing Skyrim for the 5th time. You know? So when I look at this lineup this year, I feel like as of right now, they probably have the overall, like, I'm not going to say the best, but I think they have the most exciting. Because I think like PlayStation has the 2 pedigree titles that we know about, right? Nintendo this year, in terms of non-remakes and remasters, is going to have a new 3D Mario. They're going to have Metroid Prime 4. They have Pokemon Legends coming, and I would wager they have one more big game.
Well, the new Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart. I'm talking like, I guess, like story games, but yeah, Mario Kart is huge. Mario Kart's gonna be the best selling game on that platform, bar none.
Dude, Nintendo should just.
What if they launch with a new Animal Crossing? What do the rest of us even do?
Well, Nintendo should just whip their big flopping dick out and just bundle Mario Kart with the Switch 2. Is what they should do.
I think it would be really cool to see that bundled with it for like the first 2 million units or something.
Yeah.
Because people are already going to buy it.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I mean, Nintendo could package Mario Kart 9 in with every single Switch 2 sold from now until the end of time, and it wouldn't even make a dent in their financials.
Nope.
Because the Switch was so successful. Yeah, it might even improve them, honestly. And they could, like, jack up the price and nobody would argue with it. Because, hey, we get Mario Kart 9 with it. Yeah. I know I'd look at it and be like, hey, we get Mario Kart 9. So, like, overall, like, I think all three are in a somewhat healthy place. Like, PlayStation, very healthy in terms of sales. Their games, when they come out, few and far between, but they're bangers. Like, by and large, they're bangers. I sat here and talked shit, but Helldivers and Astrobot, 2 out of 3 last year, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Yep.
They also had the Final Shape.
Yep.
I don't really like to count expansions in here, but they had the Final Shape, and the Final Shape was chef's kiss. Yeah. All three made either my Game of the Year list or my honorable mentions. So, like, they're about to get one of the best games of 2024 on their consoles in April with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That we got the numbers on that this week. 4 million players since it came out. And people are like, there's 25 million Game Pass subs. What the fuck are you guys playing? And I'm like, 4 million? That's more than I thought it was going to get.
Yeah.
It would not, for the record, it would not have sold 4 million copies.
No.
But I do wonder how many of those were Game Pass numbers and how many of those were purchasing it on Steam. Because it did chart. It charted at like number 9 for December.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people liked the Steam version because it had features that the Xbox versions or the Windows version didn't have.
It was the beefiest version for graphics and frame rate for sure, but not like it ran bad on Xbox at all.
Mm-hmm.
That was a butter smooth experience for me. Like, that's the quickest I've ever been able to dip in, and that was the true example of what quick resume should be. Mm-hmm. Was that game?
Yep.
So I really enjoyed that. I can't wait for people to play it. Hey, if those sales lead to us getting another, there's already talk about a second one coming. I think that Machine Games would really love to make another. I personally think they're already making it.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there's story DLC coming, which I would imagine is probably coming out in April.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. I'll gladly play another one of these if they want to make another one. Like, I don't know if it was John Drake, but Machine Games said they've already asked if they can make another one.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure they will, right? I mean,
I'm sure they will too. This was the IP. We talked about it. This was low risk, very high reward. And what was the result? Probably Xbox's best single player story game in a generation.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to, in terms of a actual story, AAA story game, I have to go back to Quantum Break to find one that was as good as this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better than Quantum Break. That's not even a question. I'm arguably going back to the 360 to find one as good as this.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was hyperbolic when I think it was Jordan Midler over at VGC reviewed it and said, oh, yeah, this is Xbox's best story game in over a decade. And I was like, there's no way. And then I did the math on it. I was like, oh, shit. It actually might be. Like, the only other two... There's a few games, but it's like, do you consider any of them AAA?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is Pentiment, no. Hi-Fi Rush, no. Or the Ori games, no.
Right.
You're going back to either Quantum Break, which, depending on how you felt about Quantum Break, or like Sunset Overdrive, which wasn't super story driven. It was very good. It's a very good game. It was one of the best games of 2014. But, how story heavy do you think that one really is?
Right.
I'm arguing you're going back to the 360. Like, it's simply put, it's one of their best games ever. And it's very poetically funny to me that this is happening right as they're going multi-platform.
Right.
Not that I think Indiana Jones and Troy Baker were riding in to save the Series X generation, but it is very funny to me that this is happening.
Right.
You can't help but laugh a little.
Right.
But hey, play Indiana Jones. Please go play Indiana Jones. It was very good. I got one or two other stories for us, Corey. One of these has to do with Avowed. We talked about Avowed a little bit earlier. It has been confirmed that there will be 30, 40, and 60 frames per second mode for Series X and 30 and 40 FPS options for Series S. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you played Obsidian games before, you know exactly what's coming. It's probably going to be a little janky. It's probably going to be like a great 8.5 out of 10 game.
Right.
I'm very happy that they are putting this out there that early.
Yeah.
2 full weeks to play and review this game that we've heard is supposed to be a 35 to 40 hour experience feels like enough time for people to get it out there for reviews before early access hits.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think early access lifts on the 13th that night. Yeah, the evening of the 13th it'll lift, so reviews will come out like 12 hours before. Maybe you waited a couple days too long, but I feel like that should be enough time.
Yeah, should be.
So 40 frames also, really love seeing that as an option, because 40 frames kind of low-key underrated for single-player games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think 60 feels really weird in some single-player games, especially when you're in first person, or third person, I guess I should say. It feels a little weird.
Mm.
For me, it's for anything that's like not a shooter, it feels a little funky. 40 frames, kind of love seeing that. That's the best of both worlds to me. So little interested to see how that one plays out.
Yeah.
And then we have one last story. We actually do have a question tonight too.
Ooh.
We got a little bit of sad news about one of our favorite studios yesterday. We got a studio update from BioWare.
Yeah.
This was a bummer. Now that Dragon Age Veilguard has been released, a core team at BioWare is developing the next Mass Effect game under the leadership of veterans from the original trilogy, including Michael Gamble, Preston Wadamanuk, I hope I pronounced that right, Derek Watts, Parrish Lay, and others. In keeping with our fierce commitment to innovating during the development and delivery of Mass Effect, we have challenged ourselves to think deeply about delivering the best experience to our fans. We are taking this opportunity between full development cycles to reimagine how we work at BioWare. Given this stage of development, we don't require support from the full studio. We have incredible talent here at BioWare, and we have worked diligently over the past few months to match many of our colleagues with other teams at EA that have open roles that were a strong fit. This will see BioWare become a more agile, focused studio that produces unforgettable RPGs. We appreciate your support as we build a new future for BioWare. And that was from Gary McKay, the general manager at BioWare. This was a fancy way of saying we're winding down BioWare. I realize I am not in the majority here. I loved Veilguard, but Veilguard drastically underperformed.
Yeah.
Sales wise. So
by like 50%, I think they said, right? Like that was the number.
They said it missed projections by 50%. That's so hard to come back from. For even though there is a tease, if you get the true ending of the game, there is a tease. As to the future of the franchise, I think this puts the franchise's future in serious jeopardy.
I mean, you
Mass Effect
about Dead Space also.
Oh my god, Mass Effect 4, because we're not calling it 5, we're calling it 4. Really feels like this is BioWare's last chance.
Yeah, this is
it.
This is it.
This is it. And I don't even want to say this is it. Like, Mass Effect can't simply be good. It has to knock it out of the fucking park if you ever want to see another Mass Effect, or if you ever want to see another Dragon Age ever again.
Yeah, I do want to say that Mass Effect, I think, has a broader appeal than
100%
Dragon Age.
I would agree.
Not to take anything away from Dragon Age. I know people love it, and I know, but like Mass Effect, I mean, Mass Effect was something special, right? And people have a lot of super fond memories of that trilogy and how it connected and just how interesting and awesome it was. So yeah, I mean, people still people are still going back to Andromeda now, right? Or, and like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
I thought the same thing too when I tried playing it a couple years ago after I played the trilogy, and it's pretty rough. It's
Yeah.
pretty rough once you get a couple hours into it. It's like, ugh, this is bad. I actually just reinstalled the Legendary Trilogy last night because I really wanted to play 2 and 3 again. I have other games sitting on my backlog on Ninja Gaiden, and I just decided, yeah, fuck it, I want to play Mass Effect again. In case you want to know how my Game Pass backlog is going, I this is a bummer, man, but it's kind of been on the wall for a decade. Like, yeah, Inquisition was a big hit. It won Game of the Year from a lot of places, but 2014 was a notoriously weak year.
Yeah.
It was effectively a soft reboot of the franchise that really hadn't been a gigantic hit to begin with, in my opinion. And then you have the catastrophe of Anthem.
God,
And how many reboots did Veilguard go through? Like 3 or 4?
two, at least two.
At least 2. It was delayed several times also. I actually thought that they were bullshitting last year when they're like, "Oh yeah, it's going to come out." And then suddenly they show up, they have that cinematic trailer which was awful at the Xbox show.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
That was terrible, but they have the gameplay previews that week and released gameplay footage and it looks awesome. And it was the most baffling rollout of marketing I've seen for a AAA RPG in years.
Yeah. It was.
It comes out, it doesn't help that you've got the anti-woke crowd running around being like, we don't like this game, it's too woke. I'm sorry that y'all don't like women, okay? You don't like women, and you don't like that there's a black guy as one of the lead characters. I'm so sorry. Sorry that somebody is non-gender also, or gender fluid, excuse me. Somebody is gender fluid and explicitly says that they're non-binary at one point. Like, so sorry that fucking offends you in 2025. Get over it. Get over it. Honestly. Those people exist in our world and they deserve to be represented too. So I don't really give a shit. If you're upset about it, whatever. You're totally within your right to say the Veilguard was not a great game. I don't really care if you say that. But I think that it's an absolute just ridiculous notion that that's why this game didn't do good. No, it didn't do good because it actually was pretty shallow when it comes to the story at times. The quest design wasn't great a lot of the time. There were a lot of fetch quests, a lot of retreading paths. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
But Mass Effect 4 really feels like we got to nail it. And I think Michael Gamble being in charge is a really big move. I really like that, but we're kind of coming down to the wire here, Corey.
Yeah, I think
the skies have darkened, to say the least.
Yeah, I think obviously BioWare is not what they once were, right? I mean, studio, I mean, a lot of that studio left, and a lot of them moved on to other projects. And
I mean, Casey Hudson's not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he hasn't been there. He came back to try to save Anthem, and then left after Anthem came out, right? So
yes,
BioWare is just not what it used to be, and it's a wonderful studio from a historical perspective, and we got a lot of awesome IP and a lot of awesome games out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But all these studios aren't meant to last forever. I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. And maybe the point of this is to maybe let this team do something that they want to do and kind of, stop trying to emulate what the old guard did. Maybe that's part of it, but also they're owned by EA, and EA is never going to let them do that because they own so much IP that they need that IP to exist to sell. So I don't know, man. They're in a rough spot. For sure.
I think we could say that about a lot of things happening over at EA these days.
Yeah.
But I do think that I think the hour is nigh for BioWare. And we've been saying this for years, right? I feel like people have been saying this to a degree since Mass Effect 3.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand why that was so divisive, but it is for some reason. The thing that I do find interesting is that just just a couple months ago, they also announced that Amazon's going to do a Mass Effect TV series from the creators of The Expanse, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we why are we upset about this? This is so stupid. I really hope that it's good, but there were rumors that Edmonton was going to close down. Thank God that didn't happen. Man, Anthem really did a number on this team, though.
Well, you saw. I don't know if you saw the rumors of this, but what's his name? EA's CEO. What's his name?
God, oh, Jesus.
I mean, regardless, there was a rumor that he is being prepped to take over as CEO at Disney when
Andrew
Wilson, when Bob Iger retires.
Oh God, that would be a catastrophe.
So
to say the least.
And I know EA's kind of been going through like a internal leadership change, and I mean he's still at the top, but the rest of that organization has been going through some changes, and some of them are better and some of them are for worse. And I think
it continues to floor me that Joseph Fares has them publishing his games.
Yeah,
that's maybe the most surprising publishing partnership in the industry.
Yeah, but if they're gonna fund his games, like, why not take that free money?
Yeah,
it's free money. Like after he pays that money,
I'm always back, team get your bag.
Yeah, and he's smart enough to take it. Like they don't own him yet; he can take their money. Like that, he's in a win-win for sure.
And they don't get mad at him for saying "fuck the Oscars" on Jeff Keighley's show.
Yeah, and then he wins every award.
Then he wins every fucking award. Yeah, Split Fiction comes out in like 2 months. That's going to be another big game.
Yeah.
We have a stacked Q1, man.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Wilds is a month away. Exactly 1 month away today.
I know.
I'm so excited. It's going to be fun. But yeah, BioWare, man, I never want anyone to lose their jobs. I hope for the best. But EA is really going through it. The mismanagement of the Star Wars license, everything that happened around Anthem, the constant delays to what would become Veilguard, and
the Battlefield
was revealed like 3 years ago.
Yeah, the Battlefield fiascos. The last
Battlefield. Oh my God, Battlefield. Respawn is the one studio that seems to function right.
Right, and I mean even Apex is kind of seeing it down.
Apex has fallen off, but I mean the Jedi series also lost their director.
Mm-hmm.
He's moved on to another studio. Just please make Jedi 3 as good as Survivor was. Survivor, arguably game of the year in 2023.
Game's amazing.
Game is
that first one was great, but the second one is amazing.
The only game that stands among it when the Star Wars pantheon is the original Knights of the Republic.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Like if you go down the list of like best Star Wars games, it's like KOTOR, Jedi Survivor, KOTOR 2, Fallen Order, Rogue Squadron 2, and then it's like a big drop off.
Yeah. Speaking of, Josh, Jedi Power Battles came out this week.
Oh God,
you can play as Jar Jar
Binks. This is better than Super Bombad Racing, though, so I guess I can't be too upset.
Oh man, Super Bombad Racing.
I have really enjoyed seeing the old like PS1 and PS2 era games come over. Mm-hmm. I was talking to our friend Austin Campbell, and he was asking if Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings was worth playing the other day, and I was like, no, not at all. Don't touch that game. It's terrible.
That's what, the Wii and PS2 version?
Yeah, game, right? It's real bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
I says, you should, however, find a way to play Emperor's Tomb. And I says, I'm really hoping that since they've seen how popular this one was, if it doesn't cost them too much money, maybe they like partner with Microsoft because it was given away as a Games with Gold title years ago. Maybe they partner with them to get it put back on the service and maybe do like an HD re-release really fast.
That would be nice. That game's
just like hand it to Asper. What else is Asper doing? The KOTOR remake that's never coming out?
No, Saber's doing that now.
Oh God! So even worse. Got it. Yeah, just hand it to whatever team is doing Jedi Power Battles. I'm sure they're doing Clone Wars next, which nobody else wants either.
Saber did Warhammer. That Warhammer game that just came out.
Yeah, I think they just published it though, didn't they?
No, they developed it.
Did they really?
Yeah, because whoever owns Warhammer published it, I think.
Now I'm upset. Developed, Saber St. Petersburg Focus published it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm disgusted by this. Dare I believe? Oh,
They
they've
also
got so many subsidiaries though.
I know there's
This
one in
was
Florida.
so this was the one in Russia made this.
Yeah,
So I would not
that's
be
the main studio. That's
I
their
would
that's
not
their
be exactly energized about this. I'm looking to see if they have a studio assigned to it yet. Oh my god, they have so many games in development. What the fuck? They don't even. It's not even listed on the wiki anymore.
Jeez. Nice.
Jesus Christ! Oh yes, it is. Here we go. Oh, it just says Saber Interactive. It doesn't tell us what actual studio is doing it.
Dang.
I would guarantee you it's not the Space Marine studio though. Knowing our luck, it's the one that just did like I don't know Mud Runner VR or something. God bless America. Yeah, that's like that and Evil Dead are like the two good games that I'm seeing on here. Everything else it's like, oh boy, this is rough. This is real rough. Oh no. Oh sweet Jesus. I'm not inspired by some of these. They did make RIPD the game though,
Yeah.
and Time Shift. So I guess we should feel encouraged here. I don't know. File that under games that are never coming out from the from past showcases.
Yeah. That trailer was cool. That teaser was cool though of Revan just lighting
I
the
was
laser
I
off
was
of
on
the thing.
vacation during that showcase when our friend Ray and we were watching it on a bus, and our partners are just staring at us like, what are you two doing sharing headphones? We're like, we're watching the PlayStation Presents, and we're like losing our shit because we saw Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine and KOTOR like all back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, KOTOR is never coming out, right? And he was like, yes, it is. And we looked up who was making it. He's like, oh, it's never coming out. I hate being that guy, but it's like, yeah, it's not. It ain't coming out. Golly. We do have a question before we get out of here, Corey. This one comes from our Tower Casuals Discord server. We got a question from Jiggly Panda 2. It is not a crossover question. That's being saved for next week.
God,
Thoughts on the shocking success of Marvel Rivals? Do y'all like it, or is it not for you? We love Marvel Rivals.
is it a shocking success though? I feel
I
like
think
that
it
game.
was when it first came out. I think it was because the narrative that we got all last year was people are tired of arena shooters. The beta test did not go over well. The alpha did not go over well. Concord crashed and burned.
Huh?
But man, and
I
I
guess
think we were all really scared. It was a NetEase game, man. I know I was scared.
yeah.
And then it comes out and it's maybe the best multiplayer experience of the year.
Yeah.
It,
Is
it was
that.
arguably the best. Like you can make a very strong case for Helldivers too.
Yeah, I mean they're both up there, right? I
We
mean,
both put it in our top 10 though.
yeah. Marvel Rivals is awesome. It's like the first time I've been really into a multiplayer experience in a
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Neither one of us played Overwatch in its prime either.
I did, but
Oh, you did. Okay.
but you know, it was but again, it was the game we played because Destiny was on a downswing, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't like we were super
You
in.
weren't actively seeking it out.
Yeah, it was like, oh well, I guess it's going to be like 8 months before another expansion comes out, so we might as well play
Mm-hmm.
something fun.
The other thing I think that's really resonated with Marvels is the characters are fun to play, but also it's characters you know and love.
Yeah,
With the exception of like Luna Snow and Jeff the Landshark, which most people probably don't know, but like basically every other character in this game if you've been around Marvel at all for the last couple of decades. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I very much like the addition of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. I think they've been a lot of fun. Can't wait for Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm, the Thing, to be coming here in a few weeks. I do appreciate that they did their own version of Lucio Ball for this Lunar New Year event, and it's an event, all right.
It's an event.
They got some work to do on the events, but already I think that the events are, in terms of rewards, miles ahead of Destiny. Like, Destiny can learn a lot from this.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, it's too little too late, but you really could learn a lot from this. I think I think it was shocking to us at first for like a couple of days, and then the shock wore off, and it was like, oh yeah, it's because it's Marvel.
Yeah.
Once people got over I think like hardcore gamers got over the NetEase fears. Because I can't tell you how many times I played a cash grab and I've seen NetEase pop up on there. It's been a really fun time. 29 million unique players in the month of December. That's insane. And it helps that it's free to play. It's characters that everybody knows and loves. They're all fun to use for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of very few characters in that game that I've tried that I did not have a fun time playing. Now, granted, like it's like Overwatch. It's way more fun when you play with friends to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really love solo queuing in this unless I'm trying to do a few specific challenges here and there. But them letting you do your challenges in practice versus AI or in regular or in comp is really nice. There's no like comp only challenges except to get the comp skin for that season.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. The skins look great that you can get in the shop. There's a lot of movie skins in there, which I think really resonates with fans.
Yeah, I think that's cool, especially given the art style. It even gives the movie skins like a really cool makeover at this point.
I would say, except for the Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine. That is that is a choice, buddy. He is
Wolverine in this game in particular. I feel like he's
so fucking goofy.
Yeah, that a goofy is a word for it. Yes, it's something, man. But I do really appreciate that they actually made this game look different. Because like as much as we love the MCU, right? Like, man, those designs are starting to get boring. And, the live action stuff is starting to get kind of repetitive and. Maybe boring is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Like it just, we've seen so much of it that it's nice to see something different at this point. It's why I like watching the dumb animated stuff with my kids, right? Like, because
I'm very excited to sit down and watch the Spider-Man series.
Yeah. I think my son is a little bit too young for that.
I have heard nothing. Yeah, I think he probably is too. I've heard nothing but great things from people who have watched it, though. We were all making fun of it. We've all been dunking on it for like months, and they're like, hey, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
I do love that Zeno Robinson voices Harry Osborn in this. Zeno is one of my favorite voice actors right now. If you don't know Zeno, he voiced Junpei in Persona 3 Reload. And Hawks in My Hero Academia. So Zeno is a great voice actor. I love Zeno. Very, very excited for that. And I think Coleman Domingo voices Norman Osborn.
Yeah, I saw people, some people liking it, and obviously the other half of social media complaining about it. Well, the half that likes to complain.
The usual suspects.
Yeah.
I will say I also appreciate that they've come out and announced that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio reprise their roles as Matt Murdock and Kingpin in this.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was very rad for them to come out and announce ahead of time. I like that. Alex Lee is in this, who I really like.
Yeah, I
really think one of my favorite voice actors. I think they got a great cast for this.
I really think that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio will love playing those characters.
I think they do too, and I think it's because they just get to ham it up as much as they want to.
Yeah. By the way, Daredevil, the new Daredevil season looks.
I'm hoping it's good. I was not as high on Daredevil as everybody else was. I really liked it, but by the time we got to season 3, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to say goodbye to this for a while.
I only really liked the first season, but
I love season 2 because I think John Bernthal did the only Punisher I've ever given a shit about. Getting the whole band back together though is so important. I'm glad that they shot the first 4 episodes, said this isn't working, basically got rid of everyone, rewrote the series, and it seems like it's way more in tune with the tone, because the stuff we were hearing about those first few episodes would have betrayed the entire tone of what this Daredevil is supposed to be.
I also like how they kind of came out and said, yeah, we're ignoring what happened in She-Hulk, pretty much.
So I think that's really funny because let me tell you something. If I was Daredevil and I got with She-Hulk, I would never stop talking about it. I love She-Hulk. I will be a firm She-Hulk believer until the end of my days. I thought that was great.
And
I think him being in it fit perfectly.
I liked it. I didn't love it.
I liked it a lot. I've liked everything after that significantly less in terms of the TV shows.
Dude, I don't even remember what came after that. Echo, I didn't even finish.
So Echo came after Secret Invasion, Echo, Loki season 2, Agatha all along. I liked Agatha. I didn't love it.
Yeah, my wife loved it. My wife was
my girlfriend went nuts for it every single week when there was a new episode. She's like, we gotta watch it. I'm like, finally I was like, you watch it without me. I'll catch up when there's a couple episodes. I don't really feel like watching this right now.
Yeah,
the first run of those shows was bonkers.
Yeah. I haven't even watched Loki season 2 yet.
So I haven't either. I have a really unpopular opinion. I did not like Loki season 1.
I didn't either. That's why I didn't watch season 2.
You talk about characters that I'm tired of seeing. I like Tom Hiddleston's Loki, but I thought he had a very fitting send-off in Infinity War and in Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a great end to the character arc, and then for this to be a Loki that we don't even care about, like that we haven't gone on this journey with, and we're basically going back to the Loki from Avengers 1 was really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I think him having the relationship with Thor was so important to see how that evolves in Dark World, to see how that evolves in Ragnarok. Like, him secretly being Odin is fucking hilarious. Oh, shit. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. Your savior is here. Get help. Like, Ragnarok is so good for their relationship. And in Infinity War, like, Thor's entire arc throughout Infinity War and Endgame really is centered around getting vengeance for Loki and for the Asgardian people.
Mm-hmm.
And then to just, like, feel like that's all being undone, I'm just like, yeah, I can't do this again. I can't do this again. But that original run of shows, though, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk. I can understand why, if you're an adult man, you did not care for Miss Marvel. I did, just because I really like Kamala Khan, and the actress they cast is perfect.
I loved Miss Marvel.
If you've never watched campy teen shows like The OC, then you probably don't like this show. But I feel like that's why I did like it, because I watched a lot of campy TV as a kid.
I think Miss Marvel might be my favorite show.
Miss Marvel is good. I still don't love the power change, although I understand why they did it. It was to avoid confusion with Reed Richards down the line.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier clearly was changed because of COVID, and for the worse. Even though Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie are just outstanding in that show.
Yeah.
I love Moon Knight. I love Hawkeye. I would really love to see more Hawkeye. I would love to see more Haley Steinfeld, and just put her and Florence Pugh in a show and just let them, like, chew the scenery up together.
Isn't there supposed to be a second season of Hawkeye? Wasn't there supposed to be one?
At some point, I'm sure, but we also got the 2 TV specials. You got Werewolf by Night, you got the Guardians Holiday Special, both of which are great. I would actually even take more of those. I would take more, like, 45-minute one-offs, honestly, with some of these characters that, like, you need to establish.
Yeah.
Or that you want to. I would take more of those. Later this year, they're supposed to do Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, and Marvel Zombies. I don't know how any of those are going to play out. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
What If kind of fell off towards the end. I still haven't finished season 3 yet, but I don't know if I want to. Based on what I've heard.
I stopped like halfway through season 1.
I liked season 1. I liked season 2. I just need to finish 3. But yeah, there's been some choices made with the MCU lately. Cap comes out this week, and it comes back to Marvel Rivals. You get a free skin if you go see it at a Regal Cinemas.
Oh,
apparently,
shit. Is that this week? Is that coming out?
That is this week. That is, in fact, next Friday.
Dang.
So I will be going to see Captain America opening night. Or at least opening weekend. I'm very excited to go see Cap. I love Anthony Mackie. And I'm here for Harrison Ford as Red Hulk because that's the dumbest thing he's ever done.
Dumb.
It's the dumbest thing he's ever done, and I'm here for it. The giant thing from Eternals is finally being used. It's great.
I can't wait to see him as Red Hulk.
I need that. I'm ready for Thunderbolts. I'm ready for Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four's first trailer is coming out during the Super Bowl, supposedly.
That's what I hear.
Which is February 9th, I believe.
I'm interested to see how that cast is.
I'm so excited. I'm genuinely just so excited.
And
at some point Blade will come out.
Will it?
Maybe.
Are we sure about that?
No, I'm not. And that makes it funnier, in my opinion, that I'm not actually sure if it's going to come out or not. Man. Well, Corey, you wanna wrap us up and get us out of here before I wax poetic about movies I'll never get to see?
I guess so. I want to thank everybody out there for watching and or listening to this episode of Xbox Casuals. You can catch us every other, Friday on podcast services. Dude, there's so many fucking podcasts. I gotta slow down a little bit. Josh, thank you for your time tonight. As always, you can listen to our sister show, Tower Casuals, our Destiny podcast, and check out the Bossies, I guess. It's all out, ready. I'm done. I'm so tired of looking at this stupid logo and this stupid thumbnails and everything. But Josh, I think people enjoyed our show. So
I did. It was a labor of love on your end.
It was long though. Gonna have to cut that down at some point next year. But anyways, everybody out there, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.